Let's be honest, TDS challenges are getting too boring. I mean, we've basically had the same one since like 2022, so that's why I decided to compete in one of the most difficult, challenging, and intense TDS game shows there are out there. TDS Brutal. It all started when I saw a video by one of my friends, Eclipse. He competed in the very first season of TDS Brutal. I ended up watching his video and thought, that's kinda cool, and I do need video ideas, so I left a comment on that video and asked if I could join. Eventually, the owners of TDS Brutal reached out to me, and after waiting a few days, I joined the TDS Brutal Discord server. All of the competitors for TDS Brutal are TDS content creators, so my competition was Logala, Nubicus, the Variety Network, and myself. Yeah. Since this channel is actually 2 people, both of us ended up competing, which ended up with some interesting results. Anyways, I went to bed that night thinking that TDS Brutal would be a fun time. But then, when I woke up, I saw that Minty had joined the server. If you don't know, me and Minty are currently in a sub race to 10,000, so seeing him was not good. It turns out that his only goal for the entire time was that he wanted to get a higher score than me. Once I saw this, I knew that I had to lock in. I waited for the first challenge, and eventually, on July 19th, it officially started. Challenge 1. Speedrun defeating all main bosses, including Void Reaver. This basically meant that I had to lock in, because one of the other contestants I was competing was literally a pro TDS speedrunner, while my best speedrun was a 14-minute quad fall-in speedrun I did with a few friends. I went in hoping that maybe, just maybe, the other contestants were bad at speedrunning hardcore, so if I was just able to get a good time on that, I would win. So I went into a solo easy mode speedrun and got a time of 8 minutes and 41 seconds. Not bad, considering that this was the first time that I had ever speedrun easy mode. With high hopes, I went into a Molten match, and again, got a relatively good time of 11 minutes and 51 seconds. Then, I went into an intermediate match, and again got a time of... oh. I actually ended up dying in intermediate mode. At this point, I knew that something had to change, otherwise, I would have kept trying until I got a bad attempt. So I decided to use the rule that I wanted to not use, but I actually got another person to help. That's right, I'm actually allowed to duo these modes. So I sent out a ping on my Discord server, and after a bit, Awesome Knife and Chips joined, who just so happened to be level 400 and really good at the game. After I'd gotten my duo, we went into an intermediate match and easily beat it, with a time of 11 minutes and 4 seconds, and a time of 12 minutes and 21 seconds on Fallen, which is insanely quick. After this, I was feeling pretty confident, so I went into the duo hardcore speedrun with high hopes where we promptly died on wave 13 to Invisibles. Yeah, we kinda went in without knowing what we were doing. In fact, it took us 4 attempts just to get to the winning round. Even then, we still ended up dying 2 times, but thankfully, revive tickets were added the same night, so we were able to cheese it a little bit. However, the amount of time we had spent on the round plus the amount of time added by the revive tickets added up to a whopping 52 minutes. Yeah, not the best time if you're literally trying to speedrun the game. In the end though, we had a total time of around an hour and a half. I thought that was a pretty good submission, so I sent it off, and the next day it was time for challenge 2. Make a 60-second video about how to get started when you first join TDS. Now, before I explain what my thought process was when doing this, I want to say that nowhere in the rules does it say that it is judged by how well the video is made. In fact, I asked the host of the game show and he literally said it was only judged based on the advice I gave. So with this knowledge
So first, when you join into TDS, you want to do the tutorial. It's pretty straightforward and you can win easy, then get Demo Man and then get into a random game or ask people to carry you if you decide to. Get into a random game, there is a chance that there is someone who is like level 30 there who can carry you in Molten mode. If there's not, then try again, but if you try to get someone to carry you, then just sit in the lobby and spam someone carry me am new, then maybe someone that is like level 100 plus will come up and help you through Molten. Anyways, that's it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah. Though technically I did not give all the advice I needed to, this short was not very well made, which did come back to bite me later, but that's for later in the video. Anyways, I went to bed again thinking that my submission was pretty good, and the next day the challenge was pretty simple. Create your own TDS Brittle challenge. Originally for this challenge, I had absolutely no idea what to do. In fact, it got to the point where I literally made a community post asking for ideas, which I later found out was not really allowed. Anyways, I didn't end up using any of the ideas, but this comment by Gatekeeper TD actually gave me inspiration for my challenge, which I decided was going to be pay-to-win towers only. Essentially, these were towers that could be bought with any sort of game passes, so things like event towers and level towers were all available for me to use. I eventually decided on using Mercenary Base, Engineer, Frost Blaster, Gladiator, and Jester. For the early game it went pretty smooth, just using a mix of Gladiators and Jesters. I then began working on more mercenary bases, and before I knew it, it was the final wave where I was able to beat the boss relatively easily, thus completing my 3rd challenge so far. I again went to bed that night thinking that the rest of these challenges would be pretty easy, but when I woke up, I saw challenge 4. Any other challengers know exactly what I mean when I say this challenge was stupidly difficult. The challenge was to duel hardcore with another TDS Brittle member, but you can only use sniper for your lead balloon detection. Now this on its own is not impossible. Yes, it's hard, but it's not impossible. However, there were 2 things getting in the way of me being able to beat this challenge. Firstly, on that day, I started a theater camp which I had to be at from 9 to 3, basically taking up half the time that I had to be able to attempt TDS Brittle. Secondly, I suck at the game. Now, this wouldn't have been a huge issue if I decided to team with the literal speedrunner, but I decided to team with the co-owner of this channel, Sir Hammy. Yeah, I bet a lot of people don't know that this channel was 2 people, huh? Well, once I got off my camp for the day, I called up Sir Hammy and we began our attempts. 3 hours later, the furthest we had gotten was wave 35. We realized at that point that this was not going to be like the last challenges. But, unfortunately, I had to get off for the night. I decided at that moment that I was just not going to do the challenge and instead would focus on whatever challenge was the next day. So when I woke up, I was very happy to see that the next challenge was actually an easy challenge, being to make a custom TDS event. I went ahead and made an admittedly horrible TDS event, but I had finished, so I sent it off. Pretty easy day. At this point, there were only 2 challenges left, and with me submitting all but 1 so far, I was feeling very confident. However, these next 2 challenges would prove much more difficult than the previous. On the next day, I made a vital mistake. Challenge for that day was to get as far as you can with only flying in cliff towers and solo falling on the map Construction Crazy. What the host didn't know, however, is that Construction Crazy is an elevator-only map. This meant that we would have to go to a public lobby and sit there for, at times, up to 30 minutes before even being able to make an attempt. That's not including how someone could just come up and join your game even when you were saying solo. Thankfully, however, the host changed the map to Dusty Bridges. However, unfortunately, I misread the announcement and thought that it said you could do any map you wanted, but that you would get extra points if you did it on Dusty Bridges or Construction Crazy, so I ended up doing my attempt on Grass Isle. Anyways, I recorded the match where I actually got decently far, so I sent it off for the night thinking that I had gotten a decent run. Oh well. I went to bed for the night, and when I woke up, the final day had arrived. I woke up, hopefully expecting an easier challenge, but what I saw... The challenge was to speedrun the 4 base game modes, but you have to switch 2 towers every attempt plus the map. Once you use a tower or play on a map, you cannot use that tower or map again. On top of all of that, if you happen to use the same tower or map as someone else, you were given a 2-minute time penalty. And they could stack. Yeah. This was by far the second hardest challenge in the entire competition. Once I read this challenge, I knew I was going to be in for a ride. However, things changed during the day when during my camp I started to feel sick, and by the end of it I had to be picked up just because I was feeling so bad. In fact, I was feeling bad enough to where I didn't know if I was up to attempting the challenge today, so I DM'd the host and asked for a 24-hour extension on the challenge, and thankfully he accepted and actually gave me until the ceremony to submit it. But when I started feeling better, I had spent so long without trying to attempt the challenges that I just didn't feel like doing it, and so I never submitted it. Maybe not the best idea in retrospect, but hey, I made it through TDS Brutal. 2 weeks later, it was time for the ceremony. I was unfortunately not at home, so I wasn't able to record it. However, Dark Spirit did, so here's the ceremony.
Oh my god. Why is Toxic's head like... Oh my god, I got so many notes I've got to go through. Who the hell is this? So wait, so point system, maximum points is 5 points, and then it goes 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, then 1. Alright, what was Challenger 1? Does anyone remember? It was survival bosses, right?
Yeah, survival bosses in hardcore.
In hardcore. This one was a trick one, as it always is, because defeating survival bosses, every survival boss except intermediate appears in hardcore. So if you speedrun all the modes and speedrun hardcore, you won't get the full 5 points. This is your fault. Obviously, Galag is first place for that one because he figured it out. So he gets the full 5 points. And then Noobicus came second, but I'm only going to give him 3 points because, you know, he didn't do it correctly. Minty came third, so 2 points. Toxic came fourth, 1 point, and then we don't talk about Seb. Challenge DOS, aka 2, was the tutorial editing one. They all worked, so I can't really judge based on how well they worked. So instead, I'm going to go to my second option of judging who has the best editing out of them. So yeah, Toxic's not going to like this. Anyway, points. let's go on with this. Best editing. Last place. Toxic, obviously, because he put a bunch of brain rot in his like Subway Surfer and like the TikTok.
Oh my god, did he actually?
The TikTok voice. Gala is going fourth. Seb's going first because his was pretty. It's decent. I'm putting Nubicus fourth because I quite liked his editing because it was just nice. But Minty's gonna go first because his editing was really good. It's like that would be what a YouTube tutorial thing would actually be like. Challenge 3, we're halfway through, kind of, is make you challenge. Why do you hate me? I don't hate you, it's how the points work. Anyway, challenge 3, make your own challenge. All of them were really weird. I'll just give you that. All of them were weird. Last place, Gala.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Fourth place, sorry. Minty, because it was a bit too complicated. Toxic third, because it was actually okay. Nubicus second, because it was actually pretty good. I don't remember what his was off the top of my head. But I'm going to put Seb's first, because his was really unique, and I actually really enjoyed it. He used OBS, and like covered like half its screen. So then he was playing through OBS. Challenge 4 hardcore with sniper.
Oh, I hated this. Amazing double.
Everyone loved this one. What do you mean? Everyone loved this one.
Yeah, sure, Doc, sure.
Except Toxic, he didn't do it. Second place, Minty and Nubicus, because they actually got kind of far. But
wait, I know who won then.
Gala and Seb won.
Yeah, because we were the only one who actually won.
Because you actually beat it. Toxic again. Didn't do this one. Oh, I don't have anything from him. Oh, he did something. Gala is in fourth place. The rest of them were really unique, so I couldn't actually decide. I'm going to put Seb in third place because he done an event called Developer Destructions, where you fight all the developers of the game. Nubicus is gonna go in second place because he remade Act 3 to make it better. Also gonna put Toxic in second place because he just DM'd me his event thing and I just missed it. I'm gonna put Minty first because he done like an Atlantis event which I could see being in TDS, and the enemies and the abilities, he was like, he just nailed it. Okay, flying only. But Toxic's gonna hate me for it.
Let me guess, he got last place.
Yeah.
He got.
So Toxic did it, and his run was really good. There was just one thing he done wrong in the run. He done it on grass isles, and the map set was either Dusty Bridges or Construction Crazy. The map set was Construction Crazy or Dusty Bridges. You weren't allowed any other map. Okay, so Toxic last, 0 points because he broke the rules. Nubicus fourth, because I couldn't see what wave he got to. He sent me a screenshot of the time, which was 8 minutes. Gala third, wave 28 on Construction Crazy. Seb second, wave 29. Minty first with wave 30. Okay, final one. Okay, so Toxic didn't do it. I put here Gala fourth because he got a 6-minute time penalty. Minty came third with 1 hour 12 minutes 26 seconds and a 12-minute time penalty. Nubicus came second with 1 hour 4 minutes 44 seconds. But Seb gets first, 56 minutes 50 seconds and only a 4-minute time penalty. So, final scores. Last place, obviously it's Toxic, who got close to fourth. Okay, well, yeah, Sir Hammy's technically last.